Welcome to the Recycle Podcast, where we discuss everyday issues from a mental health perspective. We are your hosts, Dr. Rashonda Strickland,
Dr. LaFanya Jones-Hines,
and Dr. Nichelle Wall. Now, don't get it twisted. We're not going to be your stereotypical therapist.
What we will be is informative, down to earth, a little spicy, and vulnerable.
All right, interns, turn up your volume, grab your pen and paper. It's supervision time. As a reminder, this podcast is not meant to take the place of a relationship with a licensed mental health professional.
Welcome back to session 47. Are you that somebody?
Okay, interns, another interesting topic.
As always.
Yes. So this session is going to cover, is there a such thing as the one? And this is basically a person you believe is your soulmate, the person who fits you perfectly, emotionally, personally, and physically, that you finally feel complete you and you want to spend the rest of your life with. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of pressure.
It is.
And I promise y'all, Hallmark make us think that we're supposed to have this just fairy tale, romance and love.
It's going to be snowing in the middle of June.
And they don't have no jacket on.
They don't have no jacket on. And I actually don't get wet from the snow, Hair stays fly.
Yeah. Don't even have any driplings.
Nothing.
Of the snow in your hair.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a $5 million home because I make candles for a living, and he raises butterflies.
Not butterflies.
I mean, if you ever watch HGTV,
yes,
and they go looking for a home, that's always the most randomest jobs possible.
Yeah. So don't let Hallmark keep your expectations unrealistic.
Or reality TV have you over here with struggle love either.
Oh,
that is true.
Yes.
That struggle love.
Yes, because that toxic, unhealthy as well. People think that that's the one, because they don't have another reference, to pull from. So they think, oh, well, if he do this to me, that mean he love me. No.
It mean he
is unhealthy.
I was about to say a lot of stuff. I had to censor
I know.
myself.
I saw your eyes. I was like, let me go ahead and finish that for.
Yeah.
That means he likes the position that you play. Maybe not necessarily that he loves you.
And don't go around thinking that, this list that we create when we in our 20s, you got to be a 6 feet, dark skinned basketball player, football player, some sort of athlete. And that's it. That's all we have on our list.
He got to be over 6 feet. Why is that always the number one? He got to be over 6 feet. And I'm like, and it'd be like people like Dr. Wall and wink, wink, Dr. Jones-Hines too, be like under 5'5".
I'm tall in spirit.
You are.
Yes.
You really are. Because my mind is boggled every time.
I'm 5'2 1/4 inch.
And I'd be like, what? Oh, they used to burn me up though.
Yeah. Don't have those expectations that you have in your 20s and still think you can have them same expectations in your 40s. Because they got to change. Like you, in your 20s, you can say, I don't want to date nobody with no kids, or I don't want to date anybody that's been married before. That's okay, because you might be able to find that because you're 20. But when you turn 40, no, somebody has had some kids.
Yeah, the likelihood
Things
starts
change.
going down.
Yes.
Much further.
I mean, you can still want what you want.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, if you're open to time, that it'll take you time to meet a person and develop a relationship with somebody that has all of that criteria. But you might have to make adjustments.
Yeah, you definitely, as you get older, you definitely have to be a little bit more flexible and more open-minded. And that doesn't mean that you're settling either. Settling does not mean that it doesn't cancel out realistic expectations.
What do you guys find, or when you work with either male or female, or identifying, when like the list criteria, like what do you guys think are some of the most common things you hear from individuals, single individuals that are looking for partnership?
A lot of it has to do with the way they look. And those can differ a little bit, but the looks, then finances. The job, money. Yes. Some people will have kids and things like that on there. It depends on the age bracket too, because my younger clients say different things than my older clients.
Yeah.
So,
gotcha.
And I think my younger clients their lists seem to be much more rigid.
And be long.
Yeah.
Have like 60 things.
Right. You don't write this much on your term papers.
Or in your journals.
Okay. Can we get that down?
Yeah. What about you?
I would say the same thing. Looks, then finances. I'm hearing a lot about like social issues. Like they want somebody to be very conscious of social issues. And very open. But I would say those are probably the big ones.
Yeah.
Looks, money, and social stuff.
I'm telling you like this. You got to put your good foot on and out there. And then you also got to be able to like kiss a lot of frogs in these situations. And I think that's what gets a lot of people, is that they assume that I can go on a date with one person and then that one person is going to be my person. And that ain't the truth, and unless you choose to make that individual that. But dating is the process of getting to know someone. And until I remove all of that and see who you really are, I can't put you in a different position. You might not be qualified. I done put you at husband and you don't know how to do nothing.
You know what? That's so interesting you say that, because I've found myself speaking to a lot of mostly my single women clients about dating, because I think society has tainted what dating really is. Like,
of course society has.
Yeah. Dating means that you date multiple people. You're not committed to anybody. So you have to date multiple people in order for you to figure out what it is that you like Dr. Wall was saying, what category this person needs to be in. But I have clients that will go out on dates with these and most of them are women, so with men, and then get hurt when they get ghosted. I'm like, that's because you need to be dating multiple. Like, don't put your eggs right. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Do you like me? Yes or no?
No, I mean,
but see, and that's even a different level. If we go back to kid, like I've been going to school with you all this time, and I like you now. Check a box. We done move. We going into commitment level. We ain't even at get to know you. Right. You know what I mean? I think people just, excuse my language, I mean, it's not gonna be bad, but it's just like they just be dumb. I just be like, this can't make sense to you. But I think, like we've talked about in the past, we have so many men and women that want to be pick-me's that they can't see that, okay, this person that I am pursuing or is pursuing me or whatever is just not a good person. They just want the title of girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, or whatever. And then you with this gremlin over here.
And then I have a lot of women that I have to talk to about, because they get so concerned. Well, what if he doesn't like me? And what if he doesn't do this? And what if I said, well, what if you don't like him?
That part.
Like, did you think about that?
And that's the issue that I find too, is I'm like, instead of you trying to figure out if they like you, you need to figure out if you like them. That is what you are focused on.
Yes.
You present your best self. Obviously, that's what you should be doing. And then once you feel comfortable enough, you let them see you with the bonnet on or whatever, but you need to be, you're auditioning him. And I know this is weird. Somebody gonna have a problem with me saying auditioning, but that's essentially what y'all are doing while y'all are dating. Y'all are auditioning for these roles in each other's lives. And if you are not good at the role I want you to be in, why would I choose you? Why would you choose me?
Agreed. That's something that I've been switching some of my language when I'm working with clients that are in the dating process, versus creating a list of what you're looking for. because you're not going to actually be able to pinpoint that when you meet somebody. You can't say, I want somebody that's understanding and supportive and communicative and, insert your, 100 list thing. You're not going to see that at meeting somebody at the gas station or at the club or at the store or even being hooked up by a friend. So pay attention to how you feel with this person.
What type of connection?
Yeah, pay attention to your experience. So when you observe their behavior, what are you seeing? So when you guys were at the restaurant and they get his order wrong, does he pop off on the waiter? Does he, cause a scene at the restaurant? Like you pay attention to your experience, because if you will do that with the waiter and act like that, what would make me believe that at some point in the process of our relationship that you would not respond that same way to me about something that you don't like or something that doesn't go your way? So pay it, really be observant of experience and versus looking for criteria.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is when we create those lists, especially when you create a list and you're in a relationship already, you tend to create the list based on the person that you're with. And so then you say, oh, they got everything I want. No. You just made that list based on that person. And so you have to be careful with like why you're creating the list, when you're creating the list, and if you're being true to
self.
Yeah, if you're being true to self.
And it also needs to evolve as you evolve. Like what I wanted as an 18-year-old is not what I'm gonna want when I get ready to turn 38 in a couple of months. I'm not gonna want that. I'm sorry.
Oh, Lord, no.
I don't.
I can't even remember what I wanted at 18.
Right.
To be quite honest.
I just wanted somebody cute.
Right.
And that ain't sufficient.
No.
I mean, you got that.
Right,
but
right.
You need more. What do I
right.
build on
after
that? Like if I'm still saying that, oh, he got to be 6'4", yes, that was a requirement when I was 18.
I was about when you were what?
18.
But put that teen on the end.
But I also grew up around a whole bunch of ball players. Like all the men and some of the women in my family are ball players. That's just what we were. I prayed to be short. The Lord blessed me with shortness. And we are here. But as I've gotten, older and dated in my adult years, I've dated men that were short. I've dated men that were in the middle. I've dated men that were super tall. None of it worked. Like I'm still by myself. So you can't be so tied to your list that you don't allow yourself to figure out if this is a match emotionally, mentally, physically, like all those different areas.
And the thing is, you have to be, especially when you first start off dating someone, you have to be careful with who you're connecting to and who you're connecting with, because who you're connecting to is the representative. None of us put forth who we are in the beginning because we're trying to put our best foot forward, like Dr. Wall was saying earlier. So you have to be careful with who you're falling in like with in the beginning.
Falling in like.
Well, y'all know what I said, falling clumsy. We got to grow.
Yes. I was just thinking, about how sometimes we convince ourselves that somebody is the one for a variety of reasons, and that may be the representative. I can think of several people that I've worked with over the years that have almost said that very exact thing. The person that I fell in love with is not who they actually are. Their personality is drastically different than the individual that I met day one. And it's like, okay, but did y'all take the time to have discussions and conversations, and did you pay attention again to what you were observing?
And I'm sorry if you had another thought, pen right there, please, because, and I say this for women because I'm a woman. Women, please pay attention to what they're saying, not what you're interpreting, because sometimes we hear a man say, you know what, I like you a lot. Here we go. He said,
loved me.
Girl.
He loved me.
Yes.
That ain't what he said.
That's not what he said.
He put a ring on it.
What that mean? You said either he got to put a ring on it or you leaving. He didn't want you to go. That don't mean that he really wanted to be married.
Yes.
If you have to convince him, it ain't supposed to happen. Okay? It's not supposed to happen.
Ooh, I got this one's a hard one because I got like 5 people in my head that we have this conversation just about every week. How are you compromising you. And this is for both some of my male clients as well as my
Yes.
female clients. So this is not just a female only situation. How are you compromising you in this relationship / situationship? Because that's what a lot of people have, is a bunch of situationships.
And that's what settling is. Settling is when you are compromising you. Like if it's unhealthy and you know it's unhealthy, that's what settling is. You knowing what's realistic and knowing what your expectations are and being able to be flexible in your expectations. That's not what settling is. So if you're one of those people who wanted a 6-feeder, or want a 6-feeder, and you meet somebody that is, I don't know, 5'9", that's not settling.
No.
That's you being flexible in your expectations, because this 5'9" person may give you what you need. Now, that doesn't mean that everything is going to look like Hallmark, but it does mean that you will be overall peaceful.
Yeah. A version of settling for me is that if you want someone that is, financially stable, has good financial acumen, they are a go-getter in that way, and then you end up with someone that is lazy, doesn't work, or expects you to work on their behalf, and you accept that, then that would be settling. Just because I want them in my life. So
and that is a detriment to you. Because now, depending on the lifestyle you're wanting to have for yourself, either one, you can't have it, or you can have it by you working 2 and 3 jobs.
Right.
And you often see this sort of thing when you have a power struggle in a relationship as well. Like, say it's a traditional situation and the man is making significantly more than the woman, but she's still doing her thing. She still got her own money. She's still doing X, Y, and Z. But say they go ahead and get together, he expects a certain level of stuff from her that she actually don't want to give to him. And it actually becomes a problem of emotional abuse in their relationship. And people don't realize how they get into those situations. And a lot of times it's because, he on paper, he got a great job. He making 6 figures. He take care of me. He do this. Okay, but what does that cost you? Because every relationship is transactional. I don't care if it's healthy or dysfunctional. They are all transactional, and you have to determine what transactions you want to pay and what transactions you want to walk away from.
That is a word. I can think of saying that very thing to somebody about 2 years ago, because that was one of the things that they were struggling with, about being in a romantic partnership, was that whole this for that, and us having to really come to terms that, like, yes, everything you do with another person is a transaction. You're trying to get something out of somebody. Transaction doesn't mean hurtful.
Or impure.
Yes, but for some reason there was this equate with, well, if I do something for them and they do something for me, or we have this kind of transactional relationship, that it's somehow spoiled or tainted. And it's like, no, everything is transactional, and the example I gave was what we're doing right here. The fact that you're in this room with me doing therapy, there's something you get out of it, and there's something that I get out of it. So I get paid, and I get to use the skills that I've learned. I also get the opportunity to assist you in growing and getting to the place that you want to be. And you get something out of me. You get all of that information. You get, you learn skills. You get to be able to release some of that pent up emotional energy. So there is a transaction that has happened between us, but it's not that either one of us is trying to use the other for manipulative or unhealthy purposes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, I agree with that. And although we're saying the transactional part, it doesn't mean that, well, there are all types of relationships. So I don't want to just say that all relationships like that can still have love, because some people marry for different reasons, and that's your choice. But for those who are still looking for love, and you still realize that there is a transactional type of relationship in your marriage or relationship, that doesn't mean that love doesn't exist in it too.
And if you are having an issue with that word, you've heard us also say mutually beneficial or reciprocal. It's the same thing.
Yes.
True that.
Agreed. So, where do you guys think the idea, like, of the one, or like you? I'm also going to blame Jerry Maguire as well. You complete me. But the idea of the one, like, do you think it came from like commercialization, and like from a capitalistic standpoint because it made sense?
Yes. I think that because you got to think wedding rings didn't come around until when, like,
I think around like
the early 1900s.
I was thinking Queen
something.
Elizabeth.
I
think around her time.
Yeah, because I think back in the day you had to bring cattle and lamb.
Bride price, dowries, and even that is still, it can be a bit antiquated. I get the purpose of it back then, but that's, that still happens now in many traditional cultures. You still have to pay the bride price. They be like, hey, I need $50,000 for my daughter, or this and that. But yeah, I don't no. I definitely agree with what Dr. Strickland was saying. I do think that a lot of this is commercialized. It's nothing wrong with wanting your person. And when I talk to my clients, I say, what does your person need to look like? What do you need to be healthy and balanced in a romantic relationship? That's the kind of thing that I say, but it's not going to be to the extent of there is only one person in all these trillions of people. What?
Well, and that's the one thing that I think people fail to realize. Even if you believe in soulmates or not, the thing about having your person, I don't know if you all watch Grey's Anatomy or not, but Grey and Christina had several husbands, and then Grey had Dr. McDreamy, and so
McDreamy McSteamy.
Okay. So but Christina was Grey's person. Although she was married to Dr. McDreamy, Christina was still her person. Like, you have to figure out who your person is, and it can be more than one person, because obviously Dr. McDreamy was her person too, because she was married to him. But you still have to have an idea that you can have more than one person in your life that can fulfill what it is that you need. And you, again, if you haven't listened to our previous session on the tribe, I can't remember the actual title, but it was the tribe. Go back and listen to that session, because we talk about you having your support and your tribe and your people for you.
Disconnected connections.
Okay, there you go.
I think this contributes to the idea of loneliness, that when people get out of relationships that they were heavily invested in, that they, or to add on to that, or they stay in relationships that they probably do not need to be staying in, is because of that idea of loneliness and not having, persons or a tribe that will fill all of those other areas outside of just a romantic partnership.
And they're not complete and whole themselves.
Yes.
You coming to the table wanting your better half, or your media naranja, as they say in Spanish, and that's just not going to work out, because you're not okay. Like, if I want, they say give 100%, it's not, or they say 50-50. And I'm like, no, both of y'all are supposed to be giving 100 and 100.
Yes.
Two half people
do not make a whole.
No.
So say that percentage again, Dr. Wall.
Most people come to the table saying 50-50. Like, that's what we're giving each other, But the reality is, when y'all really look at that percentage, that means one. There are two people in the relationship. So you need 100 and 100. And I'm not saying that your person becomes your everything, because that's toxic and enmeshed, and we don't do that here.
Codependency.
That part. But you need to be 100 and 100, so that everything is already complete within you. And of course, there's things that your partner will help you work on and see in you and hold you accountable. But we're not coming as pieces of ourselves. That's what we're not gonna do.
Yeah, and I think that's what we have to understand. Like, when you find the person that you connect with and you two decide that you want to share your life together, you both can appreciate the fact that each of you have your own things going on. Because honestly, that draws you closer to one another, because you're not all up under me all the time.
Yeah, that bothers me.
Yes.
But some people want that.
I know.
They want that, like you said, that enmeshed, because we have these very twisted ideas of what love means. Because I would venture to say that there's 7 point something billion people on the planet, and there's probably 7 point something billion definitions of
Oh yeah,
of
I'm
love.
sure.
Of course.
But if I had to, for myself, I can, when I talk with clients about love, it's like it's an umbrella term. That it's an action, it's a verb, that kind of action piece. It's also a noun because it's a thing. But there's lots of stuff that falls underneath that umbrella, and it's a large spectrum, all the way from, I would say, on the most basic end, attention, all the way up to accountability.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a clear grasp on what that means to you, then you're likely going to accept a whole lot of things and confuse a lot of things as well on who a person is to you and how they belong in your life.
Well, I think we all kind of define love based on what we've seen,
Or didn't see.
out. So I was getting ready to distinguish either seen on TV, seen in our house, or didn't see in our house. And so what we didn't see in our house, then we make up for it what we see on TV, which is why a lot of people think Hallmark is the go-to to find what love is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Man, love ain't easy. And, if y'all need more in-depth stuff on love, y'all can always go back to the session we did that like broke down the different types of love and who goes into what, or I will make sure I link it in the bio. I think it's just important that when you're thinking about, is this my person? Like really analyze, like, okay, if I'm doing life with them, are they going to be able to support me? How do they show up? Also, how do I end up showing up when I'm with this person? Because sometimes people draw stuff out of us that is not good. I've been in a relationship where I was a totally different person and people were looking at me like, what is wrong with you? And that put me in the check and be like, okay, this person is pulling something out of me that is not of me. I don't need to be with this individual.
Pay attention to what you are experiencing.
Took it right out. Twin souls right there. Twin souls.
Okay. I'm telling you, boy, you have to pay attention to what you are experiencing in order to be with someone and have a healthier relationship. Self-reflection is key. Yes. Now, not only just other reflection, and what I mean by other reflection is looking at the other person and looking at them, but both of those things are necessary. You have to be able to look at self, look at what I'm experiencing, look at yourself, and look at how am I influencing and affecting this other person. Because like Dr. Wall just said, people may say that you're a different person with this individual, but sometimes you are the one that's pulling something out of somebody else. Yep. And are you healthy for them?
Oh, that's
girl.
People don't like it. People don't like that. Y'all gonna get some comments on that statement.
Yeah,
it's true though.
Something that I learned in one of my group therapy classes when I was still like in my master's program was that's not my stuff. And you have to really know what part of the problems in your relationships is yours and what part of it is theirs. And sometimes that's the saying that, I have my couples, say, that's not my stuff. What's going on? What you going through? Like whatever, you can sugarcoat it if you need to. I prefer not to, unsugared. But you really need to know where those lines end, because a lot of times you'll find somebody deflecting their stuff or projecting their stuff, and then nothing ever gets solved either.
That one of the things I tell my couples is you need to know where you end and where they begin, because if them lines,
brown skin. Shout out to India Ari.
Thank you. Yes. So y'all need, because when those lines start blurring, both of you will lose yourself, and then you won't be able to pay attention because you don't know what's yours and what's theirs.
Yep.
Yeah. I agree.
Woo. Boy, y'all getting a lesson today. This whole thing is a Psych 101.
Y'all, we didn't even say Psych 101 lesson.
Okay.
No, it's just, it is what it is.
Okay. Because I'm like, whoo, I feel the burn on this one.
Yeah.
Because we done all experienced something similar. We done all dated and dealt with people.
Oh yeah, just like a little while ago, I was saying I can't even remember what I wanted at 18. You know, I mean, I was dating somebody at the time, very seriously, but if I think about what was I really looking for as an 18-year-old, I have no idea. You know,
Yeah.
I remember looking for the rims and the Timbs.
not the rims and
I'm not
I was gonna say I was young, dumb, and you know the last part.
That, I ain't saying I wasn't that, because I definitely was that, but I was looking for the rims and the Timbs.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's certain tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM.
Do y'all feel like that's something that our parents should do more of in society, is, you know, teach their children how to properly date, instead of it being such the opposite of don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, and then it's
Trial
like
and error.
how I get out, how I do it, what I do. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yes, I think I think, and it should start earlier. You know, I don't think it should start at like 6. You know, I think that might be a little early. But you know, when you hit that, once the hormones start kicking in, you know, that 12-ish, 13-ish age range, you know, you start actually looking at, you know, whom you're attracted. Yeah, you start looking at whom you're attracted to, and you be like,
Check this box.
Okay.
Like me.
So absolutely.
Well, see, I can't. I think I'm sorry. Go ahead. Dr.
No,
Strick.
what I was going to say, in order to do that, however, I do think that parents need to educate themselves first on healthy relationship dynamics,
yes.
healthy dating dynamics, because if you don't have those, then you're just going to perpetuate your own unhealthy behavior.
Yeah, see, I can't say that my father didn't sit down with me and talk to me about what it looked like. I do remember the first guy he let me go out with. That was funny. He was scared to ask my dad, but he let me go out with him, and he talked to me about different things, and even up until I was like in college, the guy that I dated in college, he was like, certain things you don't need to do with him.
Yeah.
And so I can say that my dad was in my ear now. It's not like I didn't listen all the time, because like I said, you know, I went through I wanted a thug, you know, phase. And so, you know, that's not what my dad taught me was, you know, what I needed, but I wanted it. So I had to try it.
What MC Light say? She need a roughneck.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I agree with what you're saying. Like, I grew up in a home with my mother and her parents, and so my grandfather always took me out on dates and taught me what a gentleman does, and you know, all of that. So I was raised in a combination of traditional and more modern and all that kind of stuff. So I got the information, and I feel like for the most part I stuck to that. You know, I still like the bad boy, a reformed bad boy. And you know, I think it's just, you don't see a lot of the education though. There's not a lot of training in how to do things. It's like parents just assume that, okay, I'm done, you should know how to do all this stuff. But if you never taught them, they're learning this stuff from their schools, from people that they go to school with, which that's weird.
The blind leading the blind.
It's just like, okay, so we just gonna crash and burn together. And then the parents get mad that their child, is with somebody crazy.
Yeah, I think it's easier, and I can only speak for women. I think it's easier for me because I had my father in my life. I have 2 brothers and I have uncles and I have male cousins that are very protective over the girl cousins in our family, or I say they still are. And so looking at how all of them, even if they treated their women like trash, the way they treated me was golden. So it was like, if you can't treat me like that,
it's like that in my family, but also us women to the men. Like, we don't play that either. Like, we'll get it together, ma'am.
Yeah. So even in college, even if I did date a thug, I knew that wasn't gonna be a forever relationship, because that's not what I knew. That's not what. And even with those thug type of relationships, they still had to treat me a certain way for you to get my number.
It was required.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you can still be a thug. Well, could have at that point.
You off the market.
Yes. My husband is reformed.
Yeah. I'm struggling with answering this question because I don't ever want there to be an impure or negative perception of my parents ever. Because I love both of them and I learned a lot from my parents, but romantic relationships was not one of those things, you know? So everything that I learned about being with somebody was through trial and error.
On the job training.
Yeah. It was a lot of, on the job training.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I mean,
you might have to go through some trials.
I did. You know, I went through some big trials.
And I think that happens though. Yeah. Like I can say that I had my grandparents, but you know, grandparents, that's not,
it's a different generation.
You're not thinking, okay, I'm going to be like Granny and Pawpaw. Even though once you get older, you can say that. But once you're in the house, like I know if it had been healthy and I would have had my parents together, that would have been more of an influence than what I saw with my grandparents, you know, because they were on a whole other pedestal. You know, grandparents, they feed you and love on you. But
still having your parents and stuff, you still grow up and you still have to date and see what you like.
But the example not being there or being there does
help
or hinder.
That too. It can set up a false sense of reality for some people. Yeah. But I did have a lot of on the job training. And it probably took me, you know, once I really started dating, because I was in college or late high school before I really started like actively dating, and it was just kind of like a free for all, you know, just whatever, let me date whomever, and you know, a lot of things and a lot of choices that were made, you know, at that time, that looking at, you know, now at 38, then I'm like, ooh,
what was I thinking?
Boy, you got your, just thank your lucky stars.
Do y'all feel like the tribulations that y'all went through in the beginning has shaped like how you dated once you were older?
Yes. Without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
When I was young, so like I was saying, I, you know, early on in my dating life, you know, I dated some very unfortunate
souls.
That's a good one. Poor unfortunate souls.
Ursula.
Yes. And I know that boomeranged me over to a different type of viewpoint. Once I got a little bit older, so that by this time I'm in my early mid 20s, you know, like 24 range-ish. So yeah, that definitely shaped how I viewed men and what I was and was not willing to tolerate. And I became a very zero tolerance. I didn't care. You could laugh wrong and I'd be like, yeah, I'm done with you. I don't like the way you laughing. Like it was,
you chewing wrong.
Yeah, like
you breathe wrong.
Y'all think I'm playing?
No, we know you're serious.
Okay, so you can ask my, you know, we talked about different types of friends last time. Ask my college best friend. She would, girl, please, why are you? Nope, nope. He had on a plastic watch. I don't like it. Like it went to the complete opposite extreme. But then of course I had to, as I got a little bit older, you start hitting that later 20s. It was like, let me dial that back a little bit, because you cutting off people that probably were, that could have genuinely been good for you or good to you for some very, superficial, asinine reasons.
Yeah.
And so I do think that it shaped me from, kind of, like I said, boomeranged me to one end, but then I kind of circled back and became a little bit more realistic as I got a little bit older.
I think I was no nonsense from the beginning, because it was just a lot of stuff I was not getting ready to tolerate. Oh, you stayed out too late? Okay, nah, we're done. We're done. You go on where you was at. Well, I was at my mama. I don't care. Go back to your mama house. No, I was no nonsense up until I met my husband. Dr. Strickland can tell you.
Yes.
No, I'm not dating him. I'm not gonna keep doing. I was known for not taking somebody back who cheated. I probably took 2 men back. I was stupid twice.
I feel you. But I mean, you have changed. You changed,
yes,
drastically in the area of heart.
Yes,
you know, because
it's softer.
She's an old softy now, which I'm here for. I'm all for it. I would definitely say that dating the men that I dated younger has affected me. And it with me being so like always in tune with my emotions, it has made me very leery to date anybody.
That makes sense.
Which, that ain't gonna work. I'm trying to get a husband, I'm trying to be wifed. So I have to constantly work on that. Y'all stop smiling and looking at me like that.
I wanted to say something so bad.
You saw me cut my eyes over there.
Look at you.
So I'm gonna put my own business out
and
there.
This individual, no, don't do that.
I'm not gonna say no names, but
this individual knows who they are.
Yes,
and we know who you are.
We know who you are.
They want
we for
me,
you, bruh.
They want me.
We cheering for you
to give somebody another opportunity,
and she is.
They want
doing
me
what you're doing, bro,
to do that. But heartstrings are tender. And that takes time for any of that to be built back up in that area.
True.
However, what I was saying was that, I'm a person that likes to give my all, and I've always been like that. That's the way I was raised. You love fully and you give that. And it wasn't until I was older that I realized that kind of what I was saying about the 100%, everybody is not ready to get that. And so I took that personally, and I felt like, okay, well, I'm not good enough, or you go through that whole cycle in your head. So now dating, I'm looking at dudes like, oh, you crazy, I ain't gonna be able to do that, or this, or, that just comes up, you like,
oh yeah.
But I think that definitely comes with self-reflection, because you know that you're an empath. And if you're an empath, you definitely have to be careful with who you're giving your heart to, because you will be hurt easily.
And they don't care.
Right.
I don't know what these men, because I almost said something else. I don't know what these men are made of in these streets, but I'm not for the streets. I need a home and a fence and a dog and maybe a rabbit too.
Not a rabbit.
I like rabbits. But I can't do this.
Yeah.
Like everybody out there that's dating and they doing it successful, can you teach me your ways?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how, because I've been married a long time and I've been with my husband for a long time, but I don't know if I was for some reason dating at now. I don't know what
I would be mad all the time. That little Aries in you come on out. Be like, she'd be out here sniping people.
Flame. But I don't know what I would be like now, or what my expectations or wants or needs or desires would be at this point. Having been married for so long and been with one person for so long, that talk about like, I have no idea what the streets is like.
You don't want it. At least not the DFW streets. You're going to go to a different state.
Okay. And it's like, but hearing things like that, hearing stuff like that from my clients, it's like, man, it makes you wonder, like, what in the world has happened or what has changed over the years. Not that there haven't always been trash people throughout time. But there does seem to be something quite different, a shift happening in the dating world now. That
it's that beta energy.
Maybe. I don't know, because just the same as you ladies, I have been hearing the same thing from my clients. And I mean, I'm just newly married. We were dating 3 years before we married, but before I met him, it was still trash. So I'm not too far in that I forgot. I ain't forgot.
Okay. Yeah. I got another question for y'all.
All right.
So what are y'all's thoughts on soulmates or twin flames?
Here you go with these deep questions.
Do I need to explain what each is first?
Yes. Here's Psych 102.
So for everybody that doesn't know, soulmate is stereotypically the one that everybody kind of thinks of, but soulmates can be platonic, they can be family members, they can be romantic. These are typically the people that you meet and y'all just vibe really well together. Sometimes it can be a little bit deeper, but these are people who challenge you. They help you to be a better person, that sort of thing. Now, when you get to twin flames, these are those people that you are automatically in sync with. Y'all typically have a lot of the same problems. You have a lot of the same strengths and weaknesses. It can be very, very toxic if y'all are not ready to work on y'all stuff. You typically see them very enmeshed in one another. But on the flip side, a lot of times twin flames come into your life for a specific purpose, and once that purpose is done, they aren't there anymore. In society, they say it is one spirit and two bodies. They've been divided. So when you come together, y'all are working on the exact same things because that's how in sync y'all are. And if it's the right time and place, then sometimes those relationships can develop into a forever relationship.
So say your question again.
What are y'all's thoughts on soulmates? What are y'all's thoughts on twin flames? Has that been something that y'all have experienced?
Boy, we got clients to listen to this.
Perhaps. Several.
Can't be putting all my business out in the streets. So so my personal answer, my professional answer would probably be two different things. So I'm going to go, since we're not in a client, setting, I'm going to go with my personal answer, and say, yes, that I do believe in both of those things. I don't believe in the one. So let me kind of
that's totally different.
Yeah. So I don't believe in there's the one person that's for you. But I do believe in soulmates because I think I have some. I do think that I have people that are very connected to me on a level that is very hard to explain. And I do think that I have had a twin flame at one point. But that part where you said
you grew and he didn't.
Yes. When you say that they can be toxic, this one in particular was.
Hashtag karmic.
Yes. So while I do on a personal level, absolutely. And I do think that they can be life lessons and very educational for you if you're willing, like you said, to take time and do the work and assess what that was, So that's my answer.
So I would say yes to the soulmate. I do believe I have several. Obviously not all romantic.
She poly, y'all. She poly.
No, not at all. My husband is not going for that. So I do believe in soulmates, but I don't believe. I don't know about twin flames because I don't believe I've ever had one. Because if they are like toxic, I told y'all. That brings the combative side out of me.
So and it could be to where y'all were on the same level of toxicity and y'all worked so well through y'all stuff that it didn't turn to the like truly dysfunctional and y'all out here about to kill each other. It don't have to always go that route.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about it because I don't know.
Okay.
I think about that.
So I definitely agree with both of y'all. I don't believe in the one. I probably as a little girl, I believed in that.
I think all of us did.
You know, you don't really
that.
know too much. And I feel like you can choose the one and then you continue to choose the one daily. Sometimes second by second in some relationships. But for me, I do believe in soulmates. I have several friends of mine who I'm like, yeah, you are my soulmate, you crazy heifer.
Yeah.
You are my soulmate. I believe I have some people in my family system that like we were in sync immediately. As well as I've had romantic interests where I would probably say only two, where I was like, okay, this is my person. This is my person. I choose you. It didn't work out. Obviously, I'm single. But I feel like people have to understand that, you know, either one of these, you have to have a lot of work that you put into. Like, love is not for punks.
No.
You got to really go in and really work on yourself and work on the relationship. The twin flame, I feel like possibly I've experienced. I have to analyze some stuff a little bit more, where it's that overwhelming energy between y'all, overwhelming love, and it can get to toxic levels. I think I've only experienced that once, and that person has come in and out of my life for 20 years, and then I was just like, this is no more.
Now I would have to say, if that's what twin flame is, then I do have one person that I that was one of the ones I was stupid. They were in and out of my life until I was like, yeah, no, I can't do this no more.
And I know the exact lessons. I learned a lot about abandonment from this particular person. He had a lot of abandonment issues, trust issues, you know, father related issues. Like I can verbatim see that. But he's not going to be able to be my romantic person. Like I will take, in this situation, because of the way ours worked out, I will take a soulmate over my twin flame any day because of possibly who he was. Like I said, I still need to analyze it some more to really get in there and figure out if that's actually what he was. But
I would agree, you know, with that relationship that I'm talking about, you know, I can see just kind of on the surface of that definition that we would definitely have been twin flames. But I was so young also when that relationship took place that it would take a whole much more of a deep dive into it to really determine if that's really what it was. Or was this individual just having some serious mental health issues?
At the minimum, I could put him in the category of karmic or false twin, because that's another category of twin flame. So if not that, at least karmic.
Yes. I could see either one of those two. Also, like I said, I'll probably have to do a deeper dive into and do more research on the idea of twin flames to really assess that. But just kind of off the cuff, based off that general kind of definition. For sure,
I can see that. I can see that with this one person. I have to. I mean, because I do know the lessons that I learned from this person. Because everything about the relationship wasn't toxic. We were actually good friends, and it was like, I mean, he was cool people. He, like I said, he had the rims and the Timbs, you know.
Y'all have to see the way she dance every time she say that phrase.
Because I always think about Lauryn Hill, because that's when I had my little Nissan Sentra with my little bump in it riding on the yard when I was in college. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, bad black college movie.
Yes. But yeah, and I, you know, it was just like that was one of the things that he did bring out of me, because I didn't think about no like bump or nothing in my car or music and stuff. Oh, I was always into music, but you know what I mean?
Just
and
that level of
yeah,
it.
It was, so that side of me came out, you know, of like being interested in hearing the
way it makes your body feel.
Yeah. So
music dances.
yeah.
We digress.
So one question, that I kind of have when we're talking about twin flames versus soulmates.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that I'm kind of wondering is, so the person that I'm talking about, like twin flame, this was also a first love.
Mm.
Oh,
So
wow.
how do how do we differentiate first love from like that whole soulmate twin flame thing? Because sometimes people get caught up in the first love.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then that person somehow, because you, based off the time that you loved this person, developmentally where you were, all these kinds of things, you kind of get stuck on a loop with them.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you
That
guys'
is true.
thoughts or ideas about the first love versus the twin flame / soulmate idea?
So I think the person that I was talking about would be my first love. And so that's why I'm like, that has you kind of analyzing it differently. But, a lot of data and research says that you will have like 3 great loves in your life. That first love, I don't know the exact names because we didn't even think to go this route, but the first love, and then your life partner, I think, is one of them, and then the person that teaches you something. And now these names may be wrong, y'all.
Don't come for us in the comments.
No,
A couple years from now,
just
people
just
are
go
going back and
Google
listening
it.
to this one.
Google.
Just Google it. And so that definitely has something to do with it, probably, and that probably may be why, I'm just gonna be honest about mine, that may be why it has so much struggle in mine. You're learning life, you're figuring yourself out, and then you remember the good times more than you remember because you're dumb, and then you come back to it, and then you remember why you were not together anymore, and then it starts all over. So that may be, for me personally, why that relationship was like that.
I think that's why I was saying a little bit earlier about having to do a deep dive into it, because like, okay, so was this person really that, or was it just that idea of the first love? And sometimes it's hard to, because they hold such a particular place in your memory, and I don't necessarily want to say in your heart, but like they hold a particular place for you, because your first love may have also been a lot of other firsts.
Yeah.
So there's they, like I said, they have their own special little box. So does that kind of confuse or shape?
Well, see, my first love was not my twin flame. My first love was my high school sweetheart.
Gotcha.
And although we did go through some ups and downs, we had more ups than downs.
Gotcha.
But my, I guess, maybe twin flame was my first real college relationship.
Gotcha.
So I guess maybe my first real adult relationship. So,
Gotcha.
but we weren't into the relationship long enough for me to have fallen in love before he did something stupid.
Gotcha.
But I had fallen in like. And so that's what made me continue to be stupid and making poor choices when
Gotcha.
it came to him doing stupid things.
I found the titles of those 3 loves. The first one is the love that looks right. The second one is the hard love. And then the third one is the love that lasts.
What's the first one?
The love that looks right.
So that I can definitely say that would have been my high school sweetheart. Then
The
twin
hard
flame
love.
maybe would have. Well, yeah, twin flame, and then now my husband.
The long lasting.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna do some deep diving on that.
Yeah,
Man, look at that. Look at us trying to do therapy on ourselves up here.
I know.
No Freud.
True.
And knock on wood.
Straight Ellis.
Yes.
Interesting. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Man,
We be out here doing it.
we be trying, y'all. We be trying to give y'all some interesting stuff. Make sure it makes sense.
So it'll be interesting to see where our interns are with their relationships, like if they experience having a soulmate or a twin flame or first love, and if they're different or are they the same person.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I would also say, you know, kind of invite the interns, like, what did you learn about love? What did you learn about relationships? You know, what was your example? You know, and did you walk that example out in your relationship and mimic it? Did you choose to try to do things differently? You know, how were you affected by what you saw and what you heard when it came to being in a relationship with somebody?
Before we head out, though, you know, we've been giving little sneak peeks the last regular session of the month. Dr. Strickland, you want to give them a little sneak peek of what MMB is going to be next week?
Oh.
I was like, oh Lord, she about to make us go deep again.
No,
Okay.
no, I'm not going to.
So speaking of twin flames and soul mates and all kinds of stuff like that, because y'all know we got to have a theme, right? We're doing Hancock. So of course, well, if you haven't seen this film, which I'd be quite surprised if you hadn't, but or seen it all the way through,
There you go.
as Dr. Jones Hines over there is pointing to herself. So, you know, of course, this is about are they angels? Is that what they are?
Beings. We're
Beings. We're going to call them beings. Okay. Because I was like, did they actually say what they are? Two beings that, you know, the further apart they are, they have all of these wonderful superhuman powers, but the closer they get to one another and draw near, that those powers, you know, diminish and they become more human. So the idea of that, you know, toxicity and how your energy can, you know, suck the life out of somebody. Are we better together or better apart? You know, there's a lot of things to kind of dive into when it comes to that particular film. On the surface, it seems very fun filled and, you know, like it's a superhero movie. But if you really dive into the relationship dynamics of that, there's a lot more to this film than meets the eye. Okay.
And as we normally do, we're going to end off with a quote. It reads, "As you awaken, you will come to understand that the journey to love isn't about finding the one. The journey is about becoming the one." Craig Crippen.
Must be this volume control.
So, okay, interns, process your notes. Be sure to catch us next session and find us on all major platforms at The Recycled Podcast.
If you're a new intern, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Thanks for listening. And remember, we are shifting and reshaping our psyche through healing conversations and connections, one discussion at a time.